Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Frank Razan Pereira. Sometime in the second week of March, state governments across the country began shutting down schools and colleges temporarily as a measure to contain the spread of the novel coronavirus. It's close to 2 months now, and there is no certainty when they will reopen. This is a crucial time for the education sector as the days pass by with no immediate solution to stop the outbreak of COVID-19. School closures will not only have a short-term impact on the continuity of learning, but will also have far-reaching consequences. The structure of schooling and learning, including teaching and assessment methodologies, was the first to be affected by these closures. Only a handful of private schools could adopt online teaching methods. Their low-income private and government school counterparts, on the other hand, have completely shut down for not having access to e-learning solutions. On this edition of The Big Picture, we will analyze the challenges and opportunities for primary education. Joining me on the program today are Geeta Gandhi Kingdon, Professor, Education Economics, University College London; Rishikesh Senapati, Director, NCERT; and Naveen Joshi, Vice President, Grade Up Learning. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of The Big Picture. Rishikesh Senapati, let me begin the program with you first. Let's first try and understand and analyze what kind of an impact has the coronavirus pandemic had on the education sector, and primarily let's focus on the primary education.
Thank you for inviting me to this program. I'm very happy to be part of this program. This coronavirus has affected all over the world that we know. But in India also, because of this, our schools are closed and our children are locked down inside the home. So from NCERT, we have also taken some initiatives. Just I would like to highlight what we have done for our children. We have come out with an alternative academic calendar. We know children are at home with their parents and they are not in a position to contact their teachers. But what we have done, we keeping in view the learning outcomes. You might be knowing NCERT has developed defined learning outcome from class 1 to class 10. Keeping in view the learning outcomes, we have suggested the resources, including the textbook and other resources, what is available in different portals, including the portals of NCERT, Pathshala, NROER, Imdikhya, and we have given the link to it. And keeping in view the learning outcome, we have suggested some activities. And these activities can be conducted by the parents under the guidance of the teacher. So what we have done, we have prepared the calendar and we have advised our teachers to guide the parents through their telephone. That means it may be smartphone or it may be simple mobile. We know all the parents are not having smartphone and internet facility. So keeping in view that those who are having the facility, it's well and good, they can use everything. But even if those who are not having the basic facility, simple mobile, so teachers can talk to the parents through mobile and send SMS and suggest them to conduct different activities using the available resources inside the home, because they have utensils, different types of materials that also children can use. Even inside the home, children can do some drawing work and even some indoor exercise. All these, because we have suggested something which will help them in their holistic development, not only teaching learning, because we know it is very difficult for the children to see the screen for a long period. That is why we want that our children should be engaged with the help of their parents. And if they're engaged, then they will learn and that learning will be more meaningful. So we want that parents should help their children to become more active. They should not be passive listeners. They should be active learners and they should perform something. They should do something using available resources inside the home. And if possible, they can get the link and they can download some materials and they can use those materials, and textbook is also there with them. And they using all this, they can conduct different types of activities that we have suggested to our teachers. And with the help of teachers, we can reach the parents, and parents with the help of their children, they can conduct different types of activities. So that is our plan.
Okay, I think that's a great plan. We seem to be going back to the age-old Gurukul system where we can learn with whatever we have in our near vicinity, and that's something we can easily access, which is a good thing. Of course, learning should continue and nothing can stop that. So let me take the discussion forward now. So Geeta Gandhi Kingdon, as far as, some of the biggest challenges are concerned, Rishikesh Senapati spoke about what it is that the NCERT is really doing, how they can really help the students and parents alike. What are some of the challenges that you foresee as far as primary education is concerned?
Um, Thank you for inviting me to your show. India has about 1.5 million elementary schools. Out of these, about 350,000 are the private, unaided, recognized schools, elementary schools. And if you add the secondary schools, the number is obviously greater. So in this K-12 segment, there's about 250 million young people in our country. It's a huge, huge challenge to make sure that during this period, all of them have access to some form of guided learning. Uh, Out of these 350,000 or so private unaided schools, actually only about 20,000, those that are affiliated to the ICSE and CBSE board, are of the higher fee schools, and that's only about 20,000 out of 350,000 or so. And even here, uh, online learning has been scrappy. Uh, there are a lot of challenges to do with the number of devices that are available in a home, if there are any devices available at all, and then the competition for devices, even if there are more than one device, because there's more than one children, and parents are sometimes working from home, internet connectivity issues, parental support at home issues, and so on and so forth. So for this segment, the well-heeled people, the well-off people, even there is some reasonably high proportion, 20 to 30% of the children, and even in these schools, are not able to access online education properly. Um, Add to that the challenge that teachers were not really prepared. This whole situation took schools by surprise, despite the fact that the direction of travel, can see that the direction of travel has been for very many years known to be that we are going to get more and more digitized, that in order for children to learn skills that are relevant for today's world, schools should be moving in the direction of more blended learning, using face-to-face teaching, combining that with other ways of engaging children, which are more digital. There are loads of reasons why digital technologies can be extremely helpful. They cannot be a replacement for the teacher, of course, but supplemented with a teacher, they can be enormously powerful. So, we can talk later in the program as to in what are some of the major ways in which technologies can be helpful to a teacher in engaging children and speeding up the learning of children. But the point is that the education sector has not really engaged with that technology over the past 10 years in the way that I think it would have been very beneficial had they done that. So I think today's challenge is that we did not invest in training of our teachers, we did not invest in technology, and we didn't bring. Now teachers are the recent experience of the last 6 weeks has shown that teachers they have utterly surprised us. Teachers who we thought were not going to be able to transact learning and teaching through technology have proven us very wrong. I mean, we are delighted that we've been proven wrong by teachers. They've suddenly, literally, they said, one, in the face of Corona, we're going to rapidly learn everything. And they have been trying to engage their children very, very effectively in many cases. So I think that the potential is there from this challenge. What we have learned is that teachers, even people in rural areas, what to speak of teachers, normal people in the rural areas, uneducated people, once they get a smartphone, and they are all very eager to get a smartphone because they understand the potential of that for employment, for the kinds of skills that are needed that they can learn through it, which can improve their chances in the labor market and so on. So because of those major advantages of technology, people have very rapidly understood how to use that technology. Given that that's the case, I believe that teachers in government schools, aided schools, and in the low fee private schools will very easily be able to learn it, providing some support is there and some thinking is there, some leadership is there in that direction. So I think that there are challenges, but there are major, major opportunities.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is where I'd like to bring you in, Naveen Joshi. As far as technology is concerned, uh, what are the opportunities really as far as tech-driven education platforms are concerned? How do we ensure that the use of technology is used in a way that it helps everyone?
Yeah, at first, thanks for calling me. Through technology, we can able to enhance lot of core area of learning, such as Let me explain this. Enjoy learning and develop desire to continue learning. This is the major focus area for almost all academician as well as teacher and the principal. Through animated videos, animated questions, we can able to achieve both. I can explain this. For example, let's say we have to explain a child that 2 multiplied 2 is 4. That can easily be explained through a story-based animation, which do not help child to develop the mathematical skill, but also to apply the theoretical learning in the daily life. Such ecosystem actually enhance the core value of learning in all sense. And the second part is develop ability of critical thinking and logical judgment. This can be achieved by the tech-based tool and AI-based platform. Nowadays, there are a lot of companies and startups working on such tools, such as all of you have heard the name of Scholartive, Think Learn, and Class Dojo, as well as GoPrep. As a platform, we help to provide lot of tools by which student as well as teacher can ask the questions, and from these tools, they convert the traditional way of teaching to much higher level of learning, which not only increase the interest of child, but also help to retain the concept for longer period of time.
Okay, all right. So, Rishikesh Senapati, this is where I'd like to bring you in again. As far as technology is concerned, people are touting e-learning to be a solution to the present problem. But what do you do for students in villages? How do we address the connectivity problems? And also, let's not forget, there are several other students who are poor and just don't have access to internet. So this too has to be addressed at some level. Can we do that by ensuring that the curriculum is made a little lighter, maybe for a couple of years? Maybe we have some fun elements added in so that the children themselves are a little more interested.
What we have done now, you might be knowing, our focus has been shifted from content mastery to competency mastery. We want our children to develop their problem-solving ability, critical thinking, communication skills, etc. That is why we have defined learning outcome. Keeping in view learning outcome, we suggest activities. We want our children should be active learners. Actively, they should participate. They should not be passive listeners. So that is why what we have suggested that they should perform something. Even in a rural area where this internet facilities are not there, we can reach our children through television, through radio. And that also we have initiated, because you might be knowing in NCR we have one TV channel, Kishore Manch. And through that we are devoting 2 hours for primary, 2 hours for upper primary, 2 hours for secondary, just to orient the teachers, parents, and also the students also there, and how to conduct different types of activities so that children will be engaged. Otherwise, in our country, we don't have internet facility in all areas, but we have to reach everybody, and we have to provide this facility to everybody, because education is a fundamental right. So through radio, television, we can reach, but we have to simultaneously, we have to orient our teachers. Our teachers should be pedagogically sound. They should know what is the purpose. It is not just online learning that will transact something and student will go on listening or watching, but rather they should watch and simultaneously they should do something. They should perform something, some activities, some task, some assignment, some project. So let them do with the help of their parents at home. So that will make them more creative, more innovative. That will help them in the development of their critical thinking. That we want. So that we are trying our best to reach through television and through radio. I think some more channels are also coming, and Honorable Prime Minister has taken some initiative. I think 12 channels are coming, and for each class one channel, so that we can reach everybody in rural area, in tribal area, even through not through television, through radio also we can reach. So that is our purpose. We want to reach, suggest them some activities, and orient teachers what is pedagogically sound, keeping in view that they can suggest many activities, keeping in view the local context, available resources, and they can do, and that way we can reach everybody, and we can make our children more creative and more innovative. That is our plan.
Activity-based learning and larger connectivity, widening the net is the best way forward, is what you're suggesting. Geeta Kingdon, considering that social distancing is going to be a norm for some time to come, what can we change, and what can we do differently going forward?
Well, this is a brave new world. It's a very different world we are in. We're having to think on our feet and to come up with solutions to problems that we've never encountered before. What you've just raised is one such problem. How do we go forward from here? One suggestion that has emanated from the NCERT itself, and Professor Senapati, the director of the NCERT, is here, is that possibly there could be an odd even formula whereby children come for half the days to the school and they come on alternate days. Now, if during the period until such time as a vaccine is made and becomes available, if education has to proceed in that way, well, one can see some advantages to that as well. Of course, there are some challenges with that. For example, parents would have to be at home the whole time, or at least one parent or a grandparent would need to be at home for the children if, on the days that they are at home. But there are major advantages to such a suggestion as well, because it will allow more of the kind of learning that Professor Senapati is talking about, because it will give two kinds of time for children. One is synchronous time with the teacher at school, one of the days, where the child is receiving face-to-face education. And another day, the child is at home, and that is asynchronous time. It's still meant to be learning time, and there would be learning hours, and it would be set up in that way. And if we harness the potential properly, the way it could work is that you could flip the classroom. So the child is given reading to do of a particular chapter or some material that they have to read, and they have to maybe answer some questions. So that is passive learning that they're doing at home in isolation by themselves, individual, independent learning. And then when they come to class the next day and have face-to-face learning with the teacher, that synchronous time is used for explaining that the points that children may not have understood, the questions they can ask, more interactivity, more engaged learning can happen on the synchronous day. So I think that a virtue can very well be made out of this necessity, because flipped learning, there has been a good case for it pedagogically for a long time, but teachers have not really embraced it so enthusiastically up to now. Now with these online classes, it has been kind of forced upon us, and teachers are now seeing the value of this kind of learning. So I think that this would be something that's quite positive that comes out of it.
Okay, all right, taking the
Of course,
discussion.
other platforms are also there. I'll just maybe briefly mention that, for example, adaptive learning technologies. I think Naveen also mentioned that briefly, and maybe he will say some more about it. But the fact that adaptive learning technologies provide this, infinitely sort of individualized learning, infinitely differentiated learning, I think that those children who have access to certain adaptive learning platforms which have been made available for free by many providers, and that's a fantastic thing during this time, that so many of the providers have made these resources available for free, which were previously extremely expensive. So if children can take advantage of it, but let's face it, a high majority, a large majority of even rural dwellers do have smartphones, and yes, those that don't, we still need to think about how we are going to engage them. But a very high proportion of people do have, the penetration of smartphones is very high, and therefore these adaptive learning technologies on those asynchronous days can also help.
Absolutely. All right. So taking the discussion forward now, Naveen Joshi, how do we make education or learning fun, especially for young children, so that they are engrossed and they also take in what they are seeing or what they are learning?
Yeah, precisely. Actually, after the lockdown, overall learning as well as the academic thing, what I have observed is a bit different as compared to the previous year. Nowadays, if we are conducting live sessions, live classes, free of cost to almost all classes, start from class 8 to class 12. And what we have observed that there is a fatigue in every student because they are still at home. So to make fun learning, we conduct different type of workshop as well as motivational seminars. We show them few movies clip so that to motivate them towards effective learning. And the quizzes format we have completely changed. Now it is a more competitive kind of thing that generally we ask in a live class that this is the question, what is the options? We give 4 options just like in the KBC, and the children and the students really enjoy this change. So we are adding different type of tool to engage the student and make the entire learning a bit of fun. so that during the lockdown period, they can able to enjoy the learning while at home.
Okay, all right. So these are some innovations really that we are looking at, and hopefully this will take us far. All right. So
Can I
taking the
just add to
discussion.
that?
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that, that, in order to make learning fun for children at a time when face-to-face teaching is not possible, so much can be done by teachers. So Naveen already talked about parent orientations and what parents can be doing. So ideas exchange between parents and teachers, with teachers, sharing their ideas as to what children can do. So what I have seen, so for example, is that, for example, for Mother's Day, a competition, as it were, uh, for mothers and their children to dance together, to make a video of themselves dancing together to a piece of music that they've chosen and post it on the group. And then, the teacher will compile it and relay it back to all the children. So, children are learning a lot of new skills of making films, skills of editing films, making collages of images from different sources, putting music to it, and so on and so forth. A whole range of new skills are being learned by children, and though they find the fact that we give credence to the fact that they're learning those skills, the fact that we give credence to that, the fact that we appreciate that, and we call it learning, they are enjoying that. They are enjoying the redefinition of what is learning. And then, a whole range of things are possible. Almost no activity has stopped as a result. Certainly in our school, the school that I'm associated with in Lucknow, here, for example, a model United Nations has happened, online. Uh, there have been home visits by teachers. So normally in our school, teachers visit the homes of the children, once a year. So what they're doing is they're making a video visit to the home to ask about the child individually. So a whole range of activities. The school counselors are able to talk to the children one-on-one. The school career counselors are talking to the senior children and orienting them in Zoom app meetings or Google Hangout or Google Meet meetings. Uh, Teachers are collaborating with each other. The in charges are planning the timetables and so forth. There is hardly any aspect of the school that has been suspended. Every single activity, almost every single activity, other than events at which people can physically come together, has been going on.
Okay,
I think it can be made fun.
Okay, it can be made fun, and I'm sure it will be, because as far as I'm concerned, school was never fun for me, at least in those initial years. But let's hope that we have fun learning going forward. All right, time to get closing comments from all my panelists now with the best way forward. Starting first with you, Rishikesh Senapati. You spoke about an alternate academic calendar. You also spoke about activity-based learning really going forward and how that should be a key focus area. This is a crucial time of the year. Fresh lessons and fresh year is going to start probably when the children go back or get back to school. So how do we approach that?
Actually, now we are coming out with some guideline also during this post-COVID period. What we'll do, because Madam has already highlighted that odd even, etc. Because what we are doing, we are preparing a guideline taking into account from the home. That means when the child will leave home and again when the child will reach home. And what will be the role and responsibility of the teacher? What will be the role and responsibility of the parents? And what will be the role and responsibility of school management and community members, even educational administrator? We all have to join hands and we have to work together so that actually we can help our children to come out of this problem what we are facing now, so that we can make education more meaningful, maintaining social distance. And after that, I think new policy will come, and when new policy will come, many new suggestions are coming, and our most important focus is on preschool education, because foundation, if we can make our foundation strong, then definitely our children will learn in a better way. That is why that in this new policy, lot of emphasis is being laid on preschool education, 3-year preschool education, because 85% brain develops prior to age 6. And if we can provide this preschool education to all children, then definitely our children will be very creative and they can compete with the children of the world, and they can do a lot, they can contribute a lot. So that is our expectation, and I think we'll overcome this problem shortly, and after that we can do many things for our children, and our children will be happy, and everybody will be happy. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's good to have positivity and move forward in a very positive and vibrant note. That way, of course, we can put this entire pandemic behind us. But Naveen Joshi, as far as e-learning is concerned, what are the opportunities really going forward?
As far as e-learning company, we are continuously working on different type of product which can enhance academic as well as conceptual learning of a child. Like we are working on a two-way communication in our live classes with added technology integration of the testing with the deep analysis of tests which help child to find the weaker area of his and her preparation. Continuously, we are interacting with the parents through our live class and with co-prep as if it is India's largest online community, and we interact with the teachers of different type of schools, and generally they ask questions through our platform, and we are continuously evolving our platform through different animations, through different testing platform, as well as the self-testing mode kind of thing. So we are continuously adding different type of tools, and during this lockdown period, we have added so many products in our platform.
Okay, all right. And Geeta Kingdom, close the show for us with your concluding remarks.
Yeah, I see that, I would perhaps single out two major things that will happen. I think teachers, having learned during this period the power of technology and having become more comfortable with technology, they will get the confidence and their eyes have been opened. They can see the direction in which the world was traveling even before the period, the COVID period, and they will not want to go back to the old teacher-centric chalk and talk kind of methodology of teaching. I think that they will prefer to go for more blended learning, and I think it's going to really help in a major ways. Not one little way in which I can illustrate is that, for example, in all our cities, the district magistrates often close down schools on account of inclement weather. It could be very hot weather, it could be very cold weather. If we have Google Classrooms, then those periods where children are not able to physically come to school, and they're very extended periods in a year, many teaching days, 20-30 teaching days sometimes are lost as a result of such school closures. So schooling will be able to be continued during those periods through online methods because we now have model everybody's experience or will get experience shortly. So I think that will be a major help as well. We should expect to see learning levels going up because of this. And I think, other than that, other technologies we talked about, that will really help pedagogically. Second major trend I see is that I think this is going to lead to much more internationalization of higher education as well. As people realize that, for example, those of our students who would have gone abroad this coming September to study abroad at other universities around the world, they will not be able to travel to those universities. So what those universities are doing is they're offering them, to study from home, but through online methods, and they're reducing their fee levels for that. So I think that having demonstrated this, having experienced it, I think those universities may well decide to open their doors and to provide this more widely and more extensively. So I think that we can expect to see more Indian children and children in other countries, developing countries, getting engaged with some of the top universities of the world for more online and distance education courses. So I think greater internationalization of education.
All right, greater internationalization of the education space as well as greater digitization is what the panelists are suggesting. Yeah, go ahead, Naveen. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think now it is time to add tech-based learning to all school through different mechanism. Like if we can able to create an ecosystem on which every child of the school replace the almanac with an app-based, and all the information related to the test, timetable, interaction, communication with the school can be done through the app. This will be a great start to the tech-based learning in India.
Okay, all right. On that note, then I'll call it a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. That's it from me. See you again next time.